friends, it's Valerie. Welcome back to this week's What's for Dinner. If you are new here, I would love if you would hit that subscribe button and join my YouTube family. And don't forget to leave a like or a comment down below because it really does help my channel. And this week's What's for Dinners, I've got some good ones for you. I got a couple new favorites. So for Meatless Mondays, like a meatless option meal, I made a Veggie Lovers, like Rigatoni. It was so good when it comes to like meatless. Of course, you could also add meat to it. It'd be just as delicious if you need that extra protein. I just love all the vegetables that were in that. And then my favorite for the week was I finally got my like meatloaf craving in, and I've never had meatloaf where you put stuffing in it, so I got to try that for the first time and I loved it. So let's just get started. On Sunday, I try to keep it really easy for us, and I just went to Pollo Loco. I got their chicken avocado burrito, and my boyfriend got the chicken tostada bowl. And these were both really delicious. We love Pollo Loco. They do like fire grilled chicken, and they have different like recipe or menu items for that. And then I just got some like chips and guac and some of their good like avocado salsa and mild salsa. I'm starting off with some frozen fillets in a bag I'm going to pour some teriyaki sauce into that bag while they defrost in cold water. If you're working with fresh fillets, just marinate these at least 30 minutes to an hour, I'd say, or more if you have time. I air fried in the Ninja Foodie Grill on high heat, and I would say no more than 10 minutes, and I did flip halfway through. That's just going to depend on the size of your fillet, and you want an internal temperature of 145 degrees. We really loved this meal because we love salmon a lot. I served it over brown white rice. I made some asparagus, and I made like some guac to put on top of the salmon. For this night, I had some bacon I needed to use up, so I figured the perfect thing to do is have some BLTs. It had been a while. I didn't put lettuce on these, but I did put avocado, which of course is like amazing. And I did have my regular like bacon, cheese, tomato, and this is on that Nature Zone like thicker bread. It's so good. We enjoyed these BLTs, and I just served chips on the side because we're keeping it easy here. I'm starting this off by taking 10 ounces of cherry tomatoes, and I'm going to add them to the bottom of my 9x13 baking dish. Now I'm using a bigger dish here because it'll be the same dish I use later on. No point in dirtying two dishes up. I'm drizzling those with some avocado oil, and I'm putting some salt on them, which the recipe doesn't call for. And also the recipe I'll have linked just says to put an 1/8 cup of olive oil on them. I didn't really measure it, and I used avocado oil because it's just a preference. It says to put these in the oven at 400 degrees for 15 minutes or until your tomatoes burst. While those are in the oven, I'm going to prep the rest of my vegetables. So it calls for 1 large onion. I am using a red onion for this. It's just what I had on hand, and I thought also that would be like more tasty. And it also calls for 1 green bell pepper. Now, I thought I don't really care for green bell pepper as much, so I'm using a red. So whatever your preference is on that, and mine was a very large one, so I didn't quite use the whole thing. I just kind of like eyed what I thought would be a good amount as to be equivalent to a normal sized like bell pepper. This would have been the perfect opportunity to like use my vegetable chopper because I don't like to clean it unless I'm using like a lot of vegetables, but I didn't even think about it here. Either way, I am dicing up a zucchini, and to do that I kind of like to cut the whole zucchini in half lengthwise, and then I cut it into some like spears like when I'm like air frying zucchini, but then I just go ahead and dice it up from there. Now here the recipe calls for 2 mushroom caps. Now my store, I don't remember if they didn't have them or if I just opted to not get them because they're pretty pricey. So I just got regular portobello mushrooms, and I'm just dicing them up. I slice mine into slices first like you would get sliced mushrooms. That just kind of made it a little bit easier for me to get that more even dice. And then I'm taking some garlic. It calls for 9 cloves of garlic, and that's my amount of kind of garlic. I love garlic. So I just rough chopped those up, minced them up. And now to the pan. It's a large skillet over medium-high heat. I've added in 1 tablespoon of olive oil to that. Then I'm adding in all of those chopped veggies and garlic that we went ahead and prepped. I'm going to go ahead and stir that all together, get it nice and like coated with the oil so it can begin to saute. And then I will season that with 1 teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of black pepper, and 2 teaspoons of dried basil. And we're going to saute this for 12 to 15 minutes or until the vegetables have started to cook down and soften. At this point, I've already got my heavily salted boiling water going, and I'm going to add in this 1 pound box of rigatoni to that and let that cook till I like a little over al dente, but whatever you prefer. Next, I'm adding in 5 ounces of spinach to this skillet. I'm going to kind of like use my little wooden spatula to kind of like push it down little by little, kind of toss it to get it to the underside. That's going to help it wilt down. We're just going to let this wilt down for like 2 to 3 minutes. As you see, it'll just really cook down a lot. Next, we're adding in a 24-ounce jar of pasta sauce. I am using this Pioneer Woman garden vegetable one. I really like this pasta sauce, and I thought it will complement this dish really well. I'm sure mushroom would also complement this, and I'm just stirring that all together to get all this vegetable mixture that we made nice and coated with the sauce. And I'm also adding in those cherry tomatoes that I roasted in the oven previously, and I'm kind of using my wooden spatula to break those up as much as I can. This is going to disperse, more little bits of them throughout all of the sauce. Next, the recipe calls for combining 1 3/4 cups grated Parmesan cheese with 2 cups of mozzarella cheese. I'm pretty sure I just did 2 cups of each, mix them together. We're going to add 1 cup of the mixture into this sauce and veggie mixture here and stir it all together to get that combined and get the cheese starting to melt there. And then I will add in my cooked and drained rigatoni. Now, I was really cutting it close here. This is a large skillet. It's like a 5-quart skillet, but I contemplated getting another pan, and then I was like, no, I'm going to make this work. I do not want another dirty dish. So I was really determined to get this going here. And I did manage without any major fails of it all falling all over the place. So that's great. You can make it do with a 5-quart if that's what you got. This is one of those like jumbo cookers. And just stir it all together, get your pasta nice and coated with the sauce. When we put it in the baking dish, if you need, you can also stir it in there as well. I thought I had hit record on this camera angle, but I didn't. But I did just put all that pasta into the bottom of a greased 9x13 baking dish, the one I used earlier for the tomatoes, and I covered it with the remaining cheese left over that we had from earlier, and I baked it at 425 degrees for 10 minutes or until just the cheese is nice and bubbly. If you need to, you can add broil for 1 minute to get it browned on top. And this was so delicious. We loved this so much. We love pasta dishes, but this was really good with all those vegetables. We both really love like mushrooms and zucchini a lot, so this was a hit for us. This night was the first night I was testing out and using my new E-Series Blackstone griddle, so I was using my heat thermometer gun to kind of like test and see where there were more hot spots. So that's what you see me doing there, and see my cat's going crazy over that laser. But I'm going to be making up some of these simply potatoes. I put this like at, I think it was like 375 degrees. I had this set at around there. I wanted a high heat, and I added some oil to this. This is all, testing, trial and error for me right now. But everything worked out great. But I put those potatoes down in the oil. I kind of split them up. The only thing is this little grease like tray at the back there, it is a very large hole. So I was afraid these potatoes would just slip right through because this surface is really slippery. You just see me seasoning these potatoes with some salt and pepper. I'm going to put the lid down to help these cook. I'm going to cook them according to like package directions for the stove, since this is pretty much the same thing. And I wanted some Spam, so I'm testing that out as well, kind of just putting it in some of these other just gaps that I have here, and also still leaving the lid down for that. So far I'm really loving this griddle here. I think I am going to get the spatulas that you use, like those long like griddle spatulas. I have them for my outdoor griddle, but I can't use them on this one because this is a non-stick surface. They're a little pricey, $20 for a couple little spatulas, plastic spatulas at that, but I think they'll come in handy for some of the things I'm going to do. We'll see. I'm going to test out my regular just kitchen spatula here for a bit. I also wanted some pancakes. I love these Purely Elizabeth, like ancient grain pancakes. They're so delicious. So I made that up, and I just have that setting down while I work on these eggs. Now, this was a little bit of a struggle for me on the eggs, and that's just because my counter is uneven. I'm gonna have to figure out how to set this better to where it's not draining just straight to the back, because the eggs just want to go to the back because my counter leans a little that direction. So I'm having to keep like stopping them. So I put a pile of like cooked up or set up eggs like there to kind of stop it. But when it was first all liquid, it gave me a little bit of a hassle. So I will have to figure out how to like prop that up in the back a little bit or do it on a different surface. I pushed those aside, just left them all on one side, and I'm gonna make my pancakes right here on the other side. This is what I'm loving. It's just a nice, good surface. This is the 17-inch griddle. If you're interested, they do have a 22-inch, just a little bit bigger than I was wanting for my kitchen, like to put away. But that one comes with a cart. It's really cool. I like that one, but I just don't have the space to have a cart out regularly in my house like that. It'd be great for like if you had a nice little patio and you wanted to do that as well. But we don't have that, and I do have my outdoor like stainless, like the bigger nice griddle for that. And for these pancakes, I just put them on there. They didn't need any additional oil. None of this really needed any additional oil after cooking those potatoes. This is such a slick surface. These pancakes just slid right off, no problem. Same thing with the eggs. Even though there's little cooked on bits that, I left behind like residue, it just they came right off super easy. I covered my pancakes with some syrup and butter and chopped strawberries, and this was a delicious meal because I do love breakfast for dinner. We don't normally eat breakfast like at breakfast time, but I do love it for dinner, and there was lots of options here, so it really hit the spot. I'm starting off by taking a 6-ounce box of stovetop stuffing. You can use whatever stuffing you like. This is the chicken flavor, and I'm adding it to the bottom of a large mixing bowl. I had a little bit of some onion, so I grated it up and added it in there. If you don't have that, it's perfectly fine. The stuffing is going to have a lot of flavor as it is. To that, I'm adding 1 cup of beef broth. I just use beef better than bouillon and water, and I'm mixing that together. This is going to help the stuffing start to absorb that. To that bowl, I'm also adding in 2 large eggs, and I'm gonna add in my ground beef. This is just 1 pound of ground beef. Mine was frozen. I defrosted it. Adding that in there, giving it a heavy splash of some Worcestershire. I'd say 1 to 2 teaspoons, and then maybe half a tablespoon to a tablespoon of ketchup in there. And I'm using my hands for this. If you want gloves, go ahead and do that, but to me, I just feel like you have to use your hands to really get in there. But I'm just going to combine this all together, make sure there's no stuffing all in like one area and things like that. Get it all combined. And then I will take a small like loaf dish. I don't have a specific like meatloaf dish. I just use one of these like baking bread loaf dishes. I sprayed some cooking spray in it, and I'm going to put all of that meat and stuffing mixture into the bottom of that, kind of press it down to form a nice even layered loaf there. And I'm going to bake this at 375 degrees for about 45 minutes to an hour, just depending on your oven. While that's baking, I'm combining a half a cup of brown sugar and a half a cup of ketchup, and then maybe about a tablespoon's worth of mustard to that, and then I'm just going to go ahead and stir that to combine all of that together. Now, once the meatloaf has baked for about 30 minutes, I pulled it out and added this mixture on top. So as you can see, it's browned up quite a bit. My oven does run pretty hot, and I'm spreading that ketchup mixture across the top as evenly as I can, and then I'll just use my spoon to kind of spread it out. It will fall into some of those crevices that are on the sides there that my meatloaf has separated from the pan, which is great. Like, I want it to be able to pull it out really easily, and this pan is like a non-stick baking pan, so that's really good for that. And I put it back in the oven for an additional 15 to 20 minutes, just until it reaches an internal temperature of 165 degrees. I made up some of the Cracker Barrel mac and cheese. This is the sharp cheddar one. It's an oven baked one, but I just left it creamy because that's just how I like my mac and cheese. There's that beautiful meatloaf, and I made some green beans. I just put butter and salt and pepper in that, and this was such a delicious meal. I really loved this. I like a lot. Like, I never really have stuffing inside of my meatloaf, like, ever. I don't think I've ever had that before, but it was so good. I could taste the stuffing, and I'm a huge fan of stuffing. it just complemented it very, very well. I'm gonna say this is one of my new favorite meals when it comes to making something simple, but like one of those like home comforty style meals. Definitely love this. Thanks so much for watching, friends. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that little bell so you don't miss out on any future videos, and I hope you all are having a great day.